It is truly another day's journey. Welcome. We invite you to share this message, open it with your friends, text this out, let someone know that we are here for Bible study tonight, Freedom Friday Bible study. We invite you to join us, let someone know, start a watch party, because we are about to have a time in the Lord tonight. I am on location tonight here at another A.M.E African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Greetings from the low country here in South Carolina. But I want to invite you, before we begin tonight in our word, that we would go to God together collectively in prayer. God, we bless your name tonight because you are God and you are God all by yourself. We thank you right now that you are able to give us strength for the journey. You brought us to another Friday night. And now, God, we ask right now that you would allow the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart to be acceptable in your sight, for you are truly our Lord, our rock, and our Redeemer. Beloved, this is a very special edition of our Freedom Friday Bible study because we are talking about faith in films, chronicling the story of the most recent film that debuted about a week ago, Judas and the Black Messiah. But before we begin talking about the film, there is a word from the Lord today that comes from the Gospel according to St. Mark. The 14th chapter, the 18th verse, you'll find these words. And as they were reclining at the table and eating, Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." They began to be sorrowful and to say to him one after another, "Is it I?" He said to them, "It is one of the 12, one who is dipping bread into the dish with me. For the Son of Man goes as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born." Beloved, this film, Judas and the Black Messiah, chronicles the story of the Black Panthers. No matter what side of the spectrum you're on, whether you are a fan or whether you are a foe, we cannot dismiss the notable contributions of the efforts of the Black Panther Party. As a student of Black history, as a student of African American history and culture, it's important that we note the contributions, the expansiveness of this young millennial, if you will, age group of revolutionaries who believed in Black liberation and freedom so much so, with self-determination, that they instituted a 10-point party platform that would emerge with a destiny of self-determination and Black freedom that calls for free housing and health care and education for children, as well as offers a vision of what true justice and equality looks like. The Black Panther Party emerges out of the Lowndes County Freedom Democratic Party, led by Stokely Carmichael and other leaders from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which we know was founded in February of 1960. This generation of young organizers and young activists emerged at a time in the midst of racial strife, in the midst of racial injustice, in the midst of a time of a country that was truly divided, caught up in the war in Vietnam as well as injustices at home. These young people girded themselves with the power of resistance to be able to affirm their own humanity and dignity. In this generation of young people who are known by other scholars and by some scholars as the A.M.E generation. This is the generation of young people who grew up watching that image instilled in their mind and ingrained in their head of Emmett Till's son, who was killed in Itawamba, Mississippi in 1955. That image that was on the front cover of Jet magazine that showed the dehumanized body, the detangled body, the deranged body of this young 12-year-old who was allegedly caught whistling to a woman in Mississippi. We've now known that this woman lied and this generation of young people witnessed the oppression really in their face. It is the Emmett Till murder that inspired the resistance of Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 that lasted for over 381 days. But this generation of young organizers who became a part of the Black Panther Party were sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like Fannie Lou Hamer, they were looking forward to a new opportunity of political power. And they recognized that if you want to build political power, you must build people, because people power is far greater than any other power. This group of organizers, this party that was established in the West Coast in Oakland, California by Bobby Seale and Huey Newton as chairpersons of the Black Panther Party, became a phenomenon that truly spread across the United States of America. As young people who were modeled after the resistance of Malcolm X, who was their true North Star, helped show them a new way of community organizing. Outside of the marches and the protesting and the picketing, they recognized that they could provide the solutions to everyday problems. They opened a free breakfast program across the country to be able to provide for breakfast for needy children in the morning before they went to school. This form of citizenship and education and provided meals as well as helped them build the strength and the dignity of young people who were going to school. Not only did they provide a free breakfast program, but they provided free health care and sickle cell testing. They believed in a philosophy of meeting the needs of people, much like the ministry that we do in the church. The Black Panther Party also formed a level of armed resistance. They believed in armed resistance to affirm their humanity and their dignity, and to observe in a form of protection in their own communities. But this film, Judas and the Black Messiah, chronicles one of the leaders of the Black Panther Party by the name of Chairman Fred Hampton. This young soldier who was 21 years of age when we meet him in this film is a young leader in the west side of Chicago, Illinois, who begins to build the Black Panther Party in Illinois as deputy chairman, which becomes one of the largest chapters of the Black Panther Party. And I don't want to spoil the movie for some who have not had a chance to watch it. This is all history that you can read online. I want to talk to you a little bit about this young soldier by the name of Fred Hampton. He did not get everything right. He did not do everything right, but he represents the tenacity, the energy of a young leader who found it upon himself to take leadership in his hands to be able to help chart a vision and a future for his people. In Illinois, he began to form a headquarters so that people would be able to come to a central location to be able to build collective power together. He believed in the power of the people. He believed in the power of empowering each and every person around him. Even as a young soldier, even as a young 21-year-old, he exuded a level of exemplary leadership that it is something that should be studied, should be taught to our children. That we have all that we need inside of us to be able to lead our own people to freedom. In this movie, we also see something very unique. As this young 21-year-old is a victim of the same level of persecution that took the life of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. There is an antagonist in the film by the name of J. Edgar Hoover, the infamous FBI director, who recognizes that this young leader is emerging at a time with charisma, with power, with prowess to draw people to him, as well as empowering people around him, that he becomes a target on their list. They began to see how they could infiltrate the Black Panther Party to be able to find people who would be able to dismantle, to break apart of this coalition that was being built around resistance, around being able to chart a vision towards democracy and justice and equality. So in the film, it talks about a newcomer to the Black Panther Party who becomes eventually the head of security, who is one who helps to begin to dismantle the power of the Black Panther Party. Beloved, this film is very important to us as a people, as a group, and even as a church family to watch in this Black History Month, to know how integral it was that when Black people are determined, self-determined to succeed, self-determined to thrive, that there is always opposition that intends to tear it down. You may know it in your own personal life. Is when you try to do your best, when you are trying to thrive, when you are trying to make it, it seems as though opposition comes at every leading side. And watch this, just as it is in the film, it's not always from people who don't look like us. Sometimes it's people who have our same skin folk, who may not always be our kinfolk. It sometimes may be people, maybe in our own family, who will try to tear down our dreams because they don't see it for ourselves. There may be people who you went to school with, people who you grew up with, maybe people who you are friends with, and maybe even someone you are in a relationship with that does not want to see you thrive or see you succeed. We recognize that there's antagonists, this emergence of this infiltrator into the Black Panther Party causes destruction. He's one that is built in relationship with the chairman, who begins to drive him around, build himself in close proximity, that he begins to liken himself as an ally and a friend. And I want to encourage someone who's watching tonight to be careful who is in your circle. Everybody who claims that they are your friend is not in your corner. Everybody who claims that they have your back, some may be trying to stab you in the back. That you have to have a spirit of discernment. And that's one thing this film emerges for us tonight, is the theme of discernment. It is so powerful. My grandmother of sainted memory, my grandmother Daisy Bell White in Yulee, Florida, before we would leave on summer trips to come back home, we would go by her house and she would go into the icebox and say, I can't let you come by the house without giving you something. And she would give us a Coke or a pop or whatever you wish to call it from the icebox or water and something to take on the road. But she would tell us, she said, son, you got to pray for discernment. You got to ask God for discernment. Ask God for wisdom and discernment so that you are able to see clearly who is in your corner. And I would encourage someone who is watching tonight that you are in a position that God has something for your life, something for your ministry, that others will wish to attach themselves to, that you have to be careful who you allow in your inner circle. You have to be careful who you allow to get close to you. You have to be careful who you allow to pray with you, who you allow to pray for you, who you allow, because sometimes they will pray on you and not pray for you. You have to be careful. You have to pray for the spirit of discernment. And when you have the spirit of discernment, you can see clearly through people and you can hear God's voice about who God or who is positioned around you and see who God wants positioned around you. And that is the spirit of discernment that we see Jesus expressing tonight in our text. In the Gospel according to Mark chapter 14, Jesus is at the end of his ministry. He is dining with his colleagues, the 12 who have walked with him, the 12 who he self-identified, the 12 who he appointed to serve in leadership, the 12 who were with him when he was up high at the mountain, the 12 who were with him when he was turning fish, 2 fish and 5 loaves into a buffet dinner, the 12 who were with him when he calmed the raging storms in the sea, the 12 who are with them, Jesus is now dining with them, and the spirit of discernment reveals unto Jesus, as Jesus says to them, truly I say to you, one of you will betray me. One of you will betray me. And if you're like me, you have been on the other side of this, and you have felt the sting of people who you thought were with you, but yet they betrayed you. You felt that the sting, the pain, and the anger of someone you thought was going to be your life partner, only to recognize that they didn't want to see you succeed. They only wanted to see themselves succeed, and you were just an accessory to their plan. You felt that pain. You felt that anger before, and that rejection, because things did not work out the way you intended for them to work out. But God shows us that even Jesus had to deal with some frenemies. Jesus had to deal with some frenemies, some people who did not want to see him succeed. Judas was at the table, and someone asked the question. The disciples began to ask one another, is it I? Is it I? Is it I? Jesus says, it is someone who is dipping bread in the same dish with me, someone that's close to me. will betray you. I pray tonight that God will give you a spirit of discernment to be unapologetically unafraid to call out the spirits that you see in people around you. You walked into this Bible study tonight, did not know what you were going to walk into, but yes, I am all in your business. I am at your front door, knocking at your door, in your house, trying to tell you to be careful who is in your corner. Be careful who you allow into your corner, because as we saw in the film last week that debuted, we also see perpetually in our culture and in our community that there are some people who will sit at your table dipping their bread in your dish with ill intentions to manipulate the gift that God has over your life. You have to protect the gifts that God has for you. There is something that God has placed you on this earth to do. There's something that God has called you into consciousness, called you into righteousness, called you to build and to develop, that it cannot be compromised by being around the wrong group of people, being around the wrong group of friends, going on vacation with the wrong people, knowing that the same crew that you're trying to hang out with don't even like you. Be free tonight from trying to please people. You got to learn how to be so confident in the fact that you have an anointing and a charge to keep you have, and a God to glorify, that you can allow people who don't have the anointing and the favor of God in their lives to be in your circle. You need a spirit of discernment. Not only do you need a spirit of discernment, but you also must recognize, as Jesus shows us tonight in the text, for the Son of Man goes as is written of him, but woe to that man whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born. Beloved, despite the fact that Jesus knows there is a Judas at the table, Jesus is still dedicated to fulfilling his mission. Jesus says that I am the Son of Man, and the Son of Man has to be betrayed like this. The Son of Man has to endure this. The Son of Man has to go through this. And even though I know I'm sitting at the table with people who will betray me, I am so dedicated to my calling, dedicated to my mission, dedicated to my assignment, that I will stay focused on what God has for me. That's what's very clear about this film. That not only does Jesus exude that level of dedication, but so does the film show the dedication of Fred Hampton Jr. That despite what he experiences, knowing that there's attacks on his life, knowing that he faces jail time for a crime he may not have committed, he recognizes that there's something that's greater than him. He is not the full embodiment of the party. He is just a leader in the party. And for so long, too many of us have thought that the world has to revolve around us, that we must be the one who has to have our name in lights. We have to be the ones that everyone has to know their name. But I want to encourage you to let you know that the assignment that God has for your life is far bigger than you. It is far bigger than you. You are a part of God's plan, not God is a part of your plan. You are to humble yourself and to receive the vision that God has for you by following the plan that God has for you. Even though you have to deal with some frustrating times, even though you got to deal with some upsetting moments, even though some friends may walk out on you, even though you may not see your name trending on Twitter, you must recognize that there is an assignment that God has for you, and you must complete it until it's done. You got to continue. You got to be dedicated. Jesus is dedicated to his purpose because he knew who was sitting around this table, and yet he did not dismiss him. Yet Jesus did not throw him away. Yet Jesus did not condemn him. Jesus stayed there because he knew his mission, his purpose, his commitment was to do the work that God placed him on earth to do. And whatever it is that God has placed you on this earth to do, whatever it is that God has called you for this time, for a time such as this, I want to encourage you that you have the power to complete it. You will not die, as a song that's popular right now. You're going to live to see it happen. And I want to declare that over your life tonight, that you will see the vision that God has for you fulfilled. You will be able to see God be able to bring your family back together. You will see God heal your body. You will see transformation take place in your life, you will live to see it happen. Not only does it require discernment and dedication, but it shows us tonight that no matter what the enemy tries to do, it cannot thwart your destiny. Even though Chairman Fred Hampton is no longer with us, even though the infiltrator aided and abetted as others came to take his life, that it cannot thwart the destiny of black liberation. There was a Fred Hampton, and then there was a Barack Obama, who was able to rise up and to be able to put his hand on Abraham Lincoln's Bible, lift his other hand in the air, and take the oath of the highest office in the land because someone else fought. No matter what the Judases try to do in their life, hallelujah, they cannot thwart the destiny that God has for you. No matter what they intend, no matter what they intend to do. That's why Jeremiah writes, for God knows the plans that he has for you. Plans for you to prosper. Plans for you to be able to survive and be able to thrive. You will accomplish the goal that God has for you. I want to encourage you tonight to let you know that your destiny will be fulfilled. That there's nothing that can stand in your way of accomplishing all that God has for you. I pray that you're blessed by the ministry of this Bible study each week. Tonight, I am in a very special place. This is the Mother Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. And as you remember that night in June at a Bible study, that there was an infiltrator that came in to take the lives of 9 beautiful souls. And we are able to stand here tonight to be able to proclaim the word of God because the destiny could not be thwarted. That God's will for this church and even in our lives is for us to survive and to thrive. I pray tonight that this message will bless you. I pray that it will help you be empowered to look towards this weekend and even to next week with undisputable joy. I pray that you are empowered to be able to make a difference. If you're blessed tonight with this word, I ask that you would go to the Greater Allen Cathedral website, allencathedral.org, and make a donation tonight to bless the house of God as we continue to do the work that God has called us to do. I pray tonight that if you have never made a decision to choose Jesus, that you will tonight. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We'll see you next week right here at Freedom Friday.